borrow mine later.
Just getting ready to start the Elio press conference.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Elio Motors. We have two debuts today. One is our first time at the Los Angeles International Auto Show, and the second one is the vehicle behind me. As a housekeeping note, we will have media cards available with the link to our media kit. After the show, you can see Pam or myself, and we'll hand those out to you. Without further ado, though, I would like to introduce our founder and my friend, Paul Elio.
Good morning. So, in case not all of you are up to speed on what an Elio is and what we're doing, just a quick going over the basics. Our vehicle is designed to achieve 84 miles per gallon, made in Shreveport, Louisiana with 90% North American content and with a targeted sticker price of $6,800. And as compelling as the product is, what I think is more important is the impact of the project. It does some special things for our country, I believe. With the strong reliance on North American content, we're going to create thousands of jobs in the factory in Shreveport and thousands more in the supply base across the country. Secondly, after 5 years of sales, we can reduce total U.S. gas consumption by nearly 0.5%. That's a meaningful number. Whether your biggest concerns are trade deficit due to foreign oil or greenhouse gases, the answer is the same: use less oil. And I think this project does it better than anyone. And lastly, and it doesn't immediately leap off the page for you, is if you're struggling in this country, your biggest issue is mobility. There is a study done by a Harvard economist that said that mobility is the #1 predictor on whether you get out of poverty or not. It correlates better than crime rates in your community, the number of two-parent households in your community, or test scores in your grade schools. The #1 predictor is mobility. There's a study out of New Jersey that says that 60% of their chronically unemployed have turned down jobs because they had no way to get to the job. And at $6,800 and 84 miles per gallon, people can afford to get to the job. As you go down this journey from a paper napkin sketch to ultimately the first saleable vehicle coming off the production line, there are a lot of milestones along the way, and we've achieved several of those. You know, conglomerating the supply base that's on our sheets. We have 34 of the world's best suppliers. I think that was a huge milestone for us. Our business partners like Pep Boys, the previous prototypes that showed a progress on the engineering side. Today we have a couple more milestones we want to share with you. So we are doing rewards crowdfunding. We're taking reservations on our vehicle. And this week we have over 47,000 people who put money down on an Elio. And this week we crossed over the $20 million line in total reservation dollars. And we believe that makes us the biggest rewards crowdfunded project ever. To our knowledge, the Pebble Watch currently used to hold the record at 20 million, now we're over 20. And so I think we are now the largest crowdfunded project ever. Next is Reg A+. So if you're not up to speed on that, the federal government created a new way to raise money. It became available in June 19th to be exact. And it allows companies to sell stock to non-accredited investors. So up to this point, if you want to be an early investor in Facebook or Uber or pick your startup, you had to be an accredited investor. So now if you're raising less than $50 million, you can go straight to the public and accept money from non-accredited investors. So on June 19th, the SEC allowed you to do what they call test the waters. And so how it works, if you go to startengine.com, we say, are you interested in investing in Elio? Because we're thinking about doing a Reg A+ offering. And if you're interested in investing, how much do you think you would invest? As of this morning, we had $45,900,000 in non-binding indications of interest to raise $25 million. So we believe, again, that we are the most successful at the testing the water phase. Based on our success, we applied to the SEC We've gone back and forth a couple times, and we believe we are on the verge of getting our qualification from the SEC and can go back to those folks and allow them to make their investment in Elio Motors. I think this is an enormous deal for our country, because I think there's a lot of startups that will use this facility to create jobs. I also think it's a huge deal for Elio Motors. The biggest single risk, I think, to this project has been funding risk, and the primary source of delays in the timeline has been funding delays. And as we go through this process of Reg A Plus and then ultimately listing on the OTCQX and become a public company, we have a lot more tools in our toolkits to raise money in the future, and I think it substantially mitigates our funding risk going forward. So we're very excited about this process as it comes to its final conclusion. But what you're really here to see is the P5, right? So this is the fifth and last of our prototype series. With the Reg A round of investment, we're going to build 25 engineering vehicles, or E-Series vehicles, that we will sadly destroy, right? Front, side, rear impact, durability. So the big changes on the P5, there's some minor styling changes. We continue to let the wind change the design in our pursuit of 84 miles per gallon. But the biggest change is it's this first vehicle with an Elio motor engine in it. And that's not a trivial milestone, right? The last time a new American startup showed a vehicle with its own engine in it was Nash in 1951. So it's been nearly 65 years since somebody unveiled a vehicle with its own engine. And when I've said that, people say, well, what about Tesla? I'm like, well, that's a motor. So this is an engine. So anyway, and people have questioned, why did we develop our own engine? And there's several reasons. The first is practicality. Several years ago, when we really started flushing this out, nobody would believe our volume, right? Without 47,000 reservations back validating the business model, nobody would believe our volume, and we didn't have access to another engine. Also, it turns out all the people who make engines are capitalists, and they're going to make money on it, and that would blow our price point, having that markup in our bill of materials. And lastly, we couldn't achieve our goals with another engine. When the big guys develop an engine, it's aimed at several platforms, and it's good for all, but best for none. This is a point design. This has been designed specifically for Elio Motors to get 0 to 60 under 10 seconds, over 100 miles an hour, 84 miles per gallon on the highway, and achieve our price goals. Without that dedication to our objectives, we'd never be able to hit those objectives. And the last reason to do it is emotional. The engine is the heart of a vehicle. And like the team that has developed this vehicle has an amazing heart. And let me introduce you to the P5, the first vehicle with the heart of an Elio.
Oh, guys, they're red hot.
Are there any questions? Oh.
Star Wars?
Yes. So we have 2 programs and 4 levels. So we have refundable and non-refundable. And you put 100, 250, 500, or 1,000 down. Our overall average last time I checked was $423. No, that's the weird thing, is we're not tapping into the demographic it's really aimed at. It skews wealthy and older, because those are the people who have the money to take the risk on, put money down on a car they may or may not get, because everybody knows what we're doing is difficult, right? The targeted fuel economy is 84 miles per gallon highway. Regular gas. It's not designed for E85. Did I have it?
Do you have a sense of how many orders you've taken so far, and how many you have in your target?
Like I said, we have 47,000 people who put money down on an Elio.
When is the first delivery?
Our targeted delivery date is 4th quarter of 2016.
You got any questions?
I think it works both. So the premise is, I think there's 2 demographics. Americans buy big vehicles for a reason, right? We like to disparage ourselves because we drive big vehicles, but we have a purpose. You know, you cannot haul plywood in a Prius, and you can't tow a boat with a Versa. So when we buy these big vehicles, we have a purpose in mind. And because small cars are too expensive and don't get good enough gas mileage, they're an or choice for most families. They can't afford both a big car and a small car. So you go to the big car because you have a reason for it. At $6,800 and 84 miles per gallon, this becomes an and choice for people. So I think for the upper 2/3 of the demographic, this becomes an and vehicle, right? And then for folks struggling, it's primary transportation.
Realistically, there have been, just in the last decade, over 10 startups that look promising. Fisker, AMP, we can go on.
Yeah.
Not one of them made it, Tesla, only because Wall Street's in love with it. And losing $20,000 a vehicle, we don't know if they make it. Why should anybody believe you guys will make it?
That's a great question. So I think we're doing things different in a lot of ways. First of all, there is no new technology allowed on this vehicle. We call it the 4 musts. It's on every single engineer's desk. 84 miles per gallon, $6,800, safe, no new technology. So every part on this vehicle is either in production or slight modification from something that's already in production. So we substantially mitigate the technical risk. I think we've created the right partnerships. If you you can't look at the sheet anymore. If you look at the sheet, that's not there. It is the who's who of the global supply base. It's the same guys that are helping Ford, Toyota, GM, and Chrysler launch vehicles. I think that we have a value proposition that makes sense to folks. So I think we have the volume there. And we have a decent margin embedded in that. So we will be profitable. Yes?
Do you have OBD on board diagnostic? Because I do a lot of IoT.
Yes, it does.
How close to 84 miles per gallon are you with your engineering vehicles?
Well, it's all simulation right now, so we're working with aerodynamic models, rolling resistance, and a very sophisticated engine model. And I think last time I checked, we were like at 81.6. So we're in the neighborhood. It may go a little up, a little down. You know, it'll definitely be over 75. I really want it over 80. I'm hoping for 84.
What are you doing about safety technology? We need to qualify because you're actually not going to meet the NHTSA car regulations with the 3-wheel design, correct?
So this is technically a motorcycle. The federal government says if you have 3 wheels or less on the ground, you're a motorcycle, not a car. So this vehicle does not have to have seat belts or an airbag. We do, right? It's got 3 airbags, 2 seat belts, electronic stability control, ABS brakes. We are designing it to the highest automotive safety standards. If you notice, it's got the same wheelbase as a Honda Accord, so it's half a vehicle, but it's half of a full-size vehicle. So we have ample crush zones, so we believe we will be very competitive on the safety scale with other cars that are on the road. Yes, and it's got a full roll cage as well. And if you go to our website, you can see some of the safety animations of us simulating those tests.
And are you targeting only the U.S. For example?
Yes. So how I believe that ultimately this will be a global vehicle. So how I put it is right now I have aspirations to go global but no plans. Right? If I tell you I'm going to go global, you're going to say, well, what's your distribution model in Europe? How are you going to service it in Asia? So until we get the first vehicle off the line in a quality manner in the U.S., we have aspirations to go global but no plans. The day after, we'll start making some plans.
You told me you've actually driven this car. You drove it around in Arizona.
Yes.
Describe driving it.
It's fun. You know, the architecture itself is fun, sitting right between the front 2 wheels. And the motor and transmission worked very well. It was a short drive, but it's fun to drive. Yes?
Why Shreveport?
Well, that facility was available in the GM bankruptcy, and so it's a 4 million square foot facility. To put that number in perspective, the Empire State Building is 2.8 million square feet, so it's almost 1.5 Empire State Buildings. And GM left all the equipment behind. So we own just about everything you can possibly imagine to manufacture a vehicle. It's a huge head start to production by acquiring that site. Any other questions?
You're the board meeting today.